Greetings, gunslingers! I'm Chaplain Andrew McIntosh, your wing chaplain, and this is your monthly mentoring video. The fall season is a beautiful time of year. In fact, fall is my favorite season of the year, not just because the cooler weather or the return of college football and the NFL, but also because of the holidays. One of the first holidays we celebrate in the fall is Thanksgiving. Now, this is a wonderful holiday in which we pause to give thanks for the many blessings that we have within our life. It is good to be thankful. In fact, I remember preaching a few times and talking about what I call the attitude of gratitude. But the truth is, it is hard to maintain an attitude of gratitude. One of my favorite quotes reminds me, "Past regrets and future fears are twin thieves that rob us of the joy of today." That is so true. How many of us linger on past regrets? Most often, people regret the decisions they do not make rather than the decisions they did make. Why? Because they look back and they wonder, what if? And that what if is usually seen through rose-colored glasses. They look back at a situation like, I would say, a friend of mine in 1997 was begging me to buy some Apple stock, saying, boy, this is the perfect time to buy that stock. And I think back and I think, if I had just bought Apple stock 23 years ago, I would be wealthy today. But the truth of the matter is, I could have also chosen to retire early and then been miserable in retirement, and I would be at risk of losing that investment to the market crash of 2008 or some other recession. I think back to people, I'll also talk about, if I just asked that girl to prom, maybe I could have ended up marrying my high school crush. Well, that may be true, but you don't often think about how that marriage could have ended up. Maybe it would have ended in a bitter divorce. You don't always consider that. Or maybe you say, if I'd just gotten that promotion to master sergeant or chief or colonel or general officer, but you don't often consider what may have come with that promotion. The additional responsibilities, the workload, or maybe even a staff assignment at the Pentagon. You know, we often look back and wonder what if, but we're not very balanced in that assessment. We see it for what positives could have come from that rather than a realistic view of what negatives could have come as well. When I was in college at Texas State some 30 years ago, I did a little bit of DJing. Now, my music preferences were things like rock or new wave or alternative, things like that. But I knew that if I wanted to get people out on that dance floor, I probably needed to play some Garth Brooks. Now, I like some Garth Brooks, and one of my favorite songs was Unanswered Prayers. Maybe you remember this song where in the lyrics, Garth is thinking back to going to a high school football game with his wife and running into his old flame and kind of wondering what if, and ending up with the conclusion, sometimes God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Even at 49 years old, I'm not immune to wanting things that I probably don't need. Just last month, I was deeply tempted to buy an older rear-wheel drive convertible stick-shift sports car. I had a 2,600-mile TDY coming up, and all I could think about was how nice it would have been to drive through the South with the rag top down and driving a stick shift and getting that rear-wheel drive performance. What I didn't realize at the time is that through that TDY, I had to pass through 8 different states on 8 different interstates, largely because of 2 major tropical storms that were pounding the Gulf Coast. I went through major traffic jams, bad flooding, and horrible conditions. I'm grateful I was in my 2013 front-wheel drive Honda Accord with great traction control, and there was an automatic transmission in the middle of traffic jams that lasted over an hour. You see, at the time, I wanted that other car. But in retrospect, I look back and realize, wow, I'm glad I kept the one I have. So in closing, I want you to consider 2 things. One is this: how is it that on one day when we sit around the table and we celebrate Thanksgiving by recalling all the things we have to be grateful for and appreciating the things we own, that the very next morning we wake up before the crack of dawn to rush into the department stores and the malls and act like we can't live without all these different things on Black Friday? I want you to know that sometimes true contentment comes not by getting every little thing our heart desires, but instead by desiring that which we already have. So God bless you, and until next month, have a great time.